So, you're in the kitchen about to cook something glorious. Garlic's sizzling, onions caramelizing, and you reach for that bright red paprika or maybe rich golden turmeric to make the dish pop. Then a thought creeps in. Wait, didn't I hear something about spices having lead, like the toxic stuff from paint chips? Today, we're digging into this spicy little controversy. Do some spices actually contain lead? And should you be worried that curry night is doubling as a heavy metal concert in your stomach? Let's spice it up right here on History of Food. Spices have been around forever. Humans have used them to season food, heal the sick, and, let's be honest, cover up the taste of questionable meat when refrigeration wasn't a thing. From ancient trade routes like the Silk Road to your local supermarket, spices have always been valuable. Fake spices, cut spices, extended spices, it's basically the drug cartel playbook but with cinnamon. Historically, some traders would mix in cheaper materials like brick dust, chalk, or even dirt to bulk up the weight and increase profit. Gross, but true. Fast forward to modern times, and suddenly people are whispering about lead in spices. Not just dirt, not just filler, actual toxic heavy metal. Sounds like a Netflix true crime doc in the making. Before we accuse your spice rack of being a silent killer, let's recap why lead is such a big deal. Lead is a naturally occurring metal, but the human body has absolutely zero use for it. Instead, lead messes with your brain, nervous system, and pretty much every organ you care about. It's especially dangerous for kids, since it can stunt development, lower IQ, and cause long-term problems. For adults, it can cause everything from headaches to organ damage. Basically, it's the guest nobody wants at dinner. So, is it a myth? Nope. Unfortunately, it's a fact. Some spices do contain lead. But the story is a little complicated. Spices themselves don't naturally come with lead baked in. It's not like cinnamon trees are pumping out toxic bark. The contamination usually happens in two ways: environmental contamination and adulteration. Environmental contamination happens when spices are grown in soil or water with high levels of lead, often from pollution or industrial waste. Adulteration, on the other hand, is the shady side. Some sellers intentionally add lead-based pigments to boost color. That bright red chili powder or deep yellow turmeric? Sometimes it's enhanced with lead compounds to look fresher, more vibrant, and more expensive. Basically, it's catfishing, but for your curry. This isn't just a vague rumor, it's been documented. In the US, the FDA has recalled multiple imported spices over the years because they contained unsafe levels of lead. One of the most notorious examples? Turmeric. Studies in Bangladesh, India, and even the US found batches of turmeric with alarmingly high levels of lead chromate added to boost that golden glow. In fact, in 2019, New York health officials traced cases of lead poisoning in children back to, you guessed it, spices. Families had been cooking with contaminated turmeric and paprika, not realizing they were sprinkling poison into dinner. So, yes, it's real. Not every spice, not every brand, but enough to raise eyebrows. Should you freak out and ditch spices for plain boiled potatoes? No. Most spices from reputable grocery stores and major brands are safe thanks to routine testing by agencies like the FDA and FSA, with the real risks coming mainly from imported, unlabeled, or unpackaged spices and those big bags of family imports that haven't been safety checked. Fun fact, food adulteration with toxic pigments isn't new. In Victorian England, candy makers used lead-based dyes to brighten sweets, and the Romans sweetened wine with lead acetate, aka sugar of lead. So if your spice rack seems shady, remember, it could be worse. You could be sipping ancient Roman Kool-Aid. All right, let's talk solutions, because knowledge without action just leaves you paranoid staring at your paprika. Buy from trusted sources. Big brands and reputable stores are far safer than bargain bin spices of unknown origin. Check recalls. Most countries post food safety alerts online, so a quick search can flag risky products. Store properly in airtight jars away from heat and light to keep spices fresh. Here's the twist. Spices aren't the only things where lead sneaks in. Traditional cosmetics like kohl, some ceramics and cookware glazes, and even herbal remedies have been caught with unsafe lead levels. So the spice issue is part of a much bigger story, a world still trying to shake off its toxic relationship with heavy metals. Let's settle it. Do some spices contain lead? Fact. But is every jar of chili powder secretly plotting your demise? Myth. It's kind of like dating apps. You might encounter some bad actors, but the whole system isn't doomed. You just have to be cautious, informed, and willing to swipe left on the sketchy stuff. At the end of the day, spices are one of humanity's oldest joys. They connect us to culture, history, and family traditions. They make food exciting, healing, and worth sharing. The fact that some unscrupulous sellers cut corners with something as dangerous as lead is frustrating, but it's also not the norm. So go ahead. Keep seasoning your food, keep experimenting in the kitchen, and just be smart about where your spices come from. Because life is too short for bland meals and too long to risk on toxic shortcuts. A little awareness goes a long way toward keeping both your taste buds and your health happy. And remember, next time you sprinkle turmeric into your curry, you're not just adding flavor. You're sprinkling in centuries of history, culture, and yes, a little bit of science. Just maybe buy the good stuff. Your future self will thank you for it. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.